Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for watching our third MindFuel Moments. Today I am joined by Colin. So those of you who may have seen some of the videos that Colin and I did back in the summer last year, and obviously if you've seen any of the stuff we did for IFS Cloud launch, you know that we work together quite closely. But he is joining me today, not in his capacity as VP of Manufacturing Industries, but actually in his capacity as someone who participated in the hackathon that we ran last week. So welcome, Colin. And can you just tell us a bit about, obviously I know you were involved in the hackathon as in you were part of one of the teams, but you were also involved in helping set it up in the first place. So can you give us a bit about, what the experience, I guess, was like, and what did you gain from it?
Well, I don't think anybody really entering it really knew quite what we were going to do. We were set a task, we were given tasks to do all around the area of sustainability. But I think, we had 7 in our team that eventually reduced down to about 5, but we came from all over the world. And we all had like different skill sets, different knowledges of the subject. There weren't any boundaries. You could do what you liked. There weren't any rules, really. You had to produce a 5-minute video at the end. That was about the only rule. But it was the fun, I suppose, in some respects, of trying to organize people around the globe, different time zones, different languages, different understandings of the subject, but doing that in a really fast, I say fast, it was over 3 days, but having to think very quickly, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Who's going to do what? Who's going to do the video? And trying to bring that all together, but still actually deliver something at the end of the day that was tangible, believable, and worked.
I'm taking it from your vast experience, you definitely did the video.
Yeah, I did do the video. You're absolutely right. That was my editing of trying to get everybody's 2 minutes that were actually 3 minutes down to the eventual 5 minutes by taking out all the ums and ahs and bits and pieces. So that did take a long time to do. But at the end of the day, in my true professional style, 4 minutes, 59 seconds.
No, I'd never expect anything less, Cole. So you've talked a bit about obviously the team that you had in place. What I do know the answer to this because I have seen the videos, but for the audience that don't know the answer, what is it that you came up with? What was your idea?
Okay, so we came up with the idea because it had to be something around sustainability, and we really thought that manufacturers going into a servitization mode or adopting the circular economy, suddenly the world changes, and we thought really to before you start doing that, you have to plan, and to plan that you need to have some numbers. So you need to know how much it's going to cost you. So what we set out to do was to say that our product went to a market, and rather than like in a linear economy, it just gets scrapped at the end of it. It came back. We could reuse some of the components. We could remanufacture some of the components. We had to replace some of the components. And that was the first year. So in the second year, the components that we'd reused now probably needed remanufacturing. And we built a model that actually worked, where we could calculate the cost of the product over effectively a 5-year period, taking into account all of that remanufacturing, reusing, and all the use cases, and then used the IFS platform to actually build a model that worked. In our demonstration, if you've seen the video, you'll see that we actually changed some of the numbers. We changed the component and said, actually, this component now we can reuse because we've redesigned it because we could see it was costing a lot of money. And suddenly the model changes and we get a different economic picture of that product over 5 years, which, if you're going to go into a servitization model, you need to know exactly what your costs are going to be over that period of time. So that was our,
and I think when
brilliant idea.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think when watching the video back, I think it really makes you realize how important the design phase is of any new product, because then you see the cost laid out in front of you over a period of years. You realize actually, like you said, if you redesign something so you can reuse it again, actually you see that cost saving right in front of you, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that hit us was when we started seeing the graphs and started seeing the pie charts. It was really obvious that, and I know they were only made up numbers, but you could see exactly what you do. You'd look at that component and say, blimey, I'm replacing that component every single time at a cost. What if I redesigned it such that I could reuse it, or I could remanufacture it when it came back, or even split it into 2 products, 2 components, one of which you could reuse? So, and I think it really did emphasize to me that if you're going into servitization or circular economy, the design is the start point. And therefore for us, in our brilliant choice of one was actually to know what the costs were going to be as well. But yeah, no, it was really fascinating.
And I have no doubt, of course, you won, of course, didn't you?
You actually know that we didn't win. Although, having said that, it was my idea that the green hackers used. So I could say that I not only came second, but I also won as well because it was my idea. There was one by the green hackers. They took a slightly broader approach to the subject. So they were looking really at creating an environmental management module. So what they were saying was that within IFS, within the application, within HR, within time bookings, within expense bookings, there's lots of bits of data that would allow you to build your carbon footprint. So they were doing things like, in fact, in their model, they used, I think it was travel expenses. How do you get to work? By what car? What sort of vehicle? And then from that, they could calculate the emissions, which would give you a carbon footprint. But they then went on to talk about the fact that, people like IFS, we travel around the world, you could capture flights, you could get flight information, you could get distance, you could multiply that up. But then they also included things like, the procurement process, the normal things you'd expect to be in there, like recycling material, paper usage, etc. But they were really focused, and I think the reason why they won, because it was a nice broad topic, and they could pick places within the application that they could get that data, and then they could enhance that data with standards based on stuff that's around on the internet in terms of costs, in terms of carbon footprint. So yeah, really clever. And I mean, I think we're all hoping that those top two designs actually now get into the product, and I think that is our intention anyway.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, Colin, it feels like old times chatting to you on video for LinkedIn. So on behalf of myself, thank you very much. And thanks everybody for watching, and hope to see you next week.
No problem. Thank you.